The night was colder than usual, and the farmer walked across his empty field with a lantern in his hand. The crops had been harvested days ago, and only the dry soil stretched out before him. He was not looking for anything in particular, only checking the land before sleep, but then he noticed something strange. In the middle of the field, where no one should be, a large dark shape lay motionless. It looked almost like a pile of cloth, heavy and too big for a man to carry alone. His first thought was that someone had left a blanket or tarp behind, but who would do that in the middle of his land? The farmer frowned and stepped closer. The lantern light shook in his hand as the cold wind brushed past. At first, he thought it was just his imagination, but when he came within a few steps of the blanket, he heard it. A sound, low and heavy, like the breathing of a sick animal. His skin prickled. It was not the sound of a man, nor of a cow or horse. It was deeper, rawer, and carried a pain that made the farmer's chest tighten. He almost turned back, but curiosity was stronger. Something inside him whispered that whatever lay under that strange blanket was not normal. He knelt down, pressing the lantern closer. The fabric looked burned at the edges, blackened as if fire had touched it. The soil beneath it was cracked, as though great heat had scorched the ground. He reached out with trembling fingers and touched the cloth. It was warm. Not warm like a coat left in the sun. No, it was warm like the skin of a living body. His hand shot back in fear. The farmer stumbled a step, staring at the shape. The breathing grew louder, as if it knew he was there. His heart raced, and his first instinct was to run back to his home, shut the door, and forget he had ever seen this. But then, before he could move, the shape under the blanket stirred. A deep rumble rolled through the air, weak but filled with something old and powerful. The farmer's lantern shook in his hand, casting wild shadows across the field. He could no longer pretend this was simple cloth. Something alive, something far too large, was hidden beneath. Gathering what little courage he had, the farmer reached down again. He pulled the edge of the blanket back, only a few inches, and froze. What he saw did not belong to this world. Beneath the blanket was a surface of scales, black and green, glowing faintly as if fire lived beneath the skin. The scales were cracked and broken in places, oozing strange light. And then he saw it, a wing. A massive, clawed wing, folded against the body, shivering weakly. His breath caught. This was no cow, no horse, no animal he had ever seen. His mind screamed the word he did not dare say aloud: dragon. He stumbled back, his lantern almost slipping from his grasp. A dragon, here, in his field? It was impossible, yet it lay before him, too real to deny. The farmer's head spun. Legends of dragons were told in old stories, not in real life. And yet, here was one, broken, covered in burns, hidden under a scorched blanket. He felt fear rise in his chest, but also a strange pull. This creature was dying. That much was clear. Its breath rattled, and every movement seemed to tear at its strength. Then, before he could make sense of anything, the dragon's head shifted slightly. The farmer saw the eyes, half open, glowing faintly like dying embers. They fixed on him, sharp but weak, and for a moment he could not move. Then, in a voice that was nothing like human, yet carried words clear as any man's, the dragon spoke. "Please, kill me." The farmer froze. His blood turned to ice. He had expected a roar, a snarl, some threat, but not this. Not a plea. He stood rooted, staring at the enormous creature, unable to speak. The dragon's voice was low, broken, but heavy with sorrow. "End it, please." The words echoed in the night, and the field felt suddenly smaller, as if the sky itself had pressed down on them. The farmer's hand shook violently, the lantern swaying. His mind screamed to run, to flee from this nightmare, but his legs would not move. He could not look away. The dragon coughed, a sound like fire trying to escape but failing. A faint glow escaped its mouth before fading. Its body trembled under the blanket, and the farmer realized how badly it was hurt. Wounds cut across its chest, some deep, glowing faintly as if filled with fire. Not wounds from sword or spear. No, these were different, unnatural, like nothing he had ever seen. The farmer's thoughts raced. How did this dragon get here? Why in his field? And why did it beg for death instead of unleashing fire and fury? His knees felt weak, and he almost fell, but he gripped the lantern tighter. The dragon's eyes stayed locked on him, waiting, pleading, filled with a pain so heavy it almost crushed him. "Kill me," it whispered again, softer this time, almost fading. The farmer's mouth opened, but no words came. What could he possibly say? What could a simple man do in the face of such a creature? He was only a farmer. He had no sword, no armor, no courage fit for this. And yet, in this moment, the fate of something beyond his world seemed to rest on his shoulders. He took a shaky step closer, the lantern light washing over the dragon's body. More of it was visible now. The wing twitched weakly. The chest rose and fell with effort. Strange marks burned across its scales, marks that looked almost like symbols, etched in fire. The farmer's fear mixed with wonder. This was no wild beast. This was something far greater, and it was begging him for release. The wind howled through the empty field, carrying dust and dry soil. The night felt endless, and the farmer knew that whatever choice he made here would change everything. His hands trembled as he stared at the massive creature before him, the lantern's flame flickering in the wind. The dragon's glowing eyes did not leave him, waiting, hoping, begging. And though the farmer's heart pounded in his chest, though fear gripped him like iron, he knew one thing for certain: his life would never be the same again. The farmer stood frozen in the silence of the night, the words of the dragon still echoing in his ears. He could not believe it had spoken. He could not believe such a creature existed, lying half dead in his field. His hand shook so badly that the lantern rattled, but still he held it high. The weak light flickered over the dragon's huge body, and he dared to pull the blanket back a little more. The sight made him stumble a step back, his breath caught in his throat. The dragon was enormous. Even while lying down, its body stretched wider than his barn. Its scales were cracked and scorched, some burned black, some glowing faintly as if fire lived inside. The wings were folded tight, broken at the joints, and covered in strange wounds. He could see cuts that did not look natural, as if machines had carved into its flesh. His stomach turned at the sight, but he could not look away. The dragon's chest rose and fell slowly, each breath sounding like thunder trapped in a cave. The eyes opened wider now, glowing in the lantern light. The farmer felt their weight on him, heavy with sorrow, heavy with pain. He wanted to run. Every part of his mind screamed to leave, to pretend this was a nightmare. But he stayed, rooted to the ground, because he felt something stronger than fear. He felt pity. This creature, this mighty beast from stories and legends, was broken, helpless, and begging for death. The farmer swallowed hard, his mouth dry. Finally, he forced himself to speak. His voice cracked in the cold air. What happened to you?" At first, there was no answer, only the sound of heavy breathing. Then, slowly, the dragon shifted its head. The movement was slow, weak, as if even lifting it cost too much. The eyes locked on him again, and a deep, rough voice rumbled. "They found me." The words were strange, almost like growls forced into speech, but still clear. The farmer did not understand. "Who found you?" he asked, his voice shaking. The dragon's eyes dimmed, and it let out a long, painful sigh. "Machines," it whispered. "They tore me apart." The farmer felt his blood turn cold. Machines? That made no sense. No man could build machines that could hurt a dragon. And yet, here was the proof lying before him. The farmer's mind raced, trying to make sense of it. Machines from where? From another kingdom? From another land? Or from somewhere even farther? He stepped closer, his lantern brushing light over the dragon's wounds. He could see now that some cuts glowed faintly, not with blood but with strange light, as if fire had been forced inside. His stomach churned. These were no ordinary wounds. This was something far beyond anything he had seen before. The dragon groaned, its breath uneven. "Please," it whispered again, "end me before they return." The farmer stumbled at those words. "Return," he repeated. His chest tightened. "You mean, they're coming here?" The dragon closed its eyes for a moment, then opened them weakly. "They always follow," it said. "They never stop. I escaped, but I will not escape again. They will find me. And they will find you." The farmer's knees grew weak. His lantern nearly slipped from his grasp, but he held it firm. He tried to deny it, to believe the words of a dying creature meant nothing, but deep inside he knew the dragon spoke the truth. He had seen the strange burns on the soil, the way the blanket itself was scorched, the unnatural wounds. This was not from any war of men. This was something else, something greater, something terrible. The farmer's breath came quick, his chest rising and falling as panic grew inside him. If what the dragon said was true, then danger was already on its way. Yet he could not leave. He could not turn his back on the creature before him. The dragon coughed again, a deep rumble that shook the ground. Smoke rose faintly from its mouth, but it faded quickly. The farmer realized how close to death it was. And still, even in its last breaths, the creature's strength was enough to terrify him. "I should run," he whispered to himself, though he knew he would not. He could not. The dragon's eyes softened, and for the first time, the farmer thought he saw something almost human in them. "Why do you stay?" it asked, voice rough. The farmer shook his head. I don't know." His voice was barely a whisper. He wanted to say it was fear. He wanted to say it was curiosity. But deep inside, he knew it was something else. It was pity. He had never seen anything suffer so deeply. The dragon lowered its head back onto the ground with a heavy thud, dust rising into the cold night air. "Your kind," it said slowly, "should not know of me, should not know of them. This world is still free." Its voice cracked, a mix of sorrow and anger. "But now they will come." The farmer felt his chest tighten as he looked at the massive broken body. He did not understand everything, but he understood enough. Something far beyond his world had touched his field, and it would not end here. His lantern flickered in the wind, shadows dancing across the dragon's form. The silence that followed was heavy, broken only by the creature's weak breathing. The farmer stood there, torn between fear and something deeper. He thought of the words again. "Please, kill me." Could he do it? Could he really strike down a dragon, even one begging for death? His hands shook at the thought. He was no hero, no soldier, only a simple farmer. And yet, for reasons he could not explain, he felt the weight of choice pressing on him like a mountain. The dragon's voice came again, weaker than before. "They will not stop until nothing remains. Better I die now. Better you burn this place before they see it." The farmer's mind reeled. Burn his own field? Destroy everything. It was madness, yet the way the dragon spoke made it sound like truth. He stood in silence, the cold air biting at his skin, the lantern flickering low. His thoughts battled with each other: fear, pity, confusion, disbelief. But one thing grew clear with every passing second: whatever had happened to this dragon was not the end. It was the beginning. And soon, the quiet world he knew would never be the same. The farmer's legs felt heavy as stone. He stood with the lantern trembling in his hand, staring at the massive creature before him. His throat was dry, his mind spinning in circles, yet still he could not walk away. The dragon's voice, broken and deep, had carved itself into his chest. He needed answers, though every part of him feared what those answers might be. Slowly he swallowed and forced his voice to rise above the cold wind. "What are you?" he asked, though the word sounded foolish the moment it left his lips. The dragon's eyes flickered like dying fire, and it gave a low rumble that might have been a bitter laugh. "I am nothing now," it whispered. "Once I was more." The farmer's grip tightened on the lantern. He shook his head. "No, you are not nothing. You are a dragon." No man has seen such a thing before. Why are you here? How did you come to my land? The creature closed its eyes for a moment, breathing hard as if every word was a burden. When it opened them again, the farmer felt the weight of ages in that gaze. I did not choose this place. I fell. I fled. And your world is where I landed. The farmer frowned, not understanding. Fell? From where? His voice quivered, but his curiosity drove him on. The dragon shifted slightly, its wounded body groaning against the earth. From the stars, it said. The farmer almost dropped the lantern. He blinked, sure he had misheard, but the dragon's eyes held no lie. The stars, he whispered. That is impossible. The dragon gave another weak rumble. To you, yes. To me, no. I am not from here. I am not of this soil, this sky, this world. I am a wanderer, a guardian, a weapon. I was all of these things once, before the machines broke me. The farmer's head spun. He felt as if the earth beneath him no longer existed. A dragon from the stars? A beast that traveled the heavens? His heart pounded with both fear and wonder. Machines, he said slowly, his voice barely more than a breath. You keep saying machines. What kind of machines? The dragon's jaw tightened, its voice low and filled with hate. Hunters. Builders. Killers. They are not men, not beasts, not alive, but they move and think and kill. They take, they consume, they enslave. They spread across worlds, one after another, until nothing remains. I fought them. I fought for centuries. But they always return. The farmer felt a shiver run down his spine. He tried to imagine such a thing, but his mind could barely grasp it. Machines that hunted dragons? Machines that crossed stars? His world was simple: plow, seed, harvest, sleep. Yet now, standing here in the dark field, he felt as if his world had cracked open and revealed something vast and terrible. The dragon's voice softened, weak but clear. I am hunted because I remember. I am hunted because I resist. They tried to break me, to twist me into their slave. They failed, but they left me broken. I escaped with nothing but pain. The farmer stared, his knuckles white around the lantern handle. Why here? He asked, his voice trembling. Why come to my land? To this small place? The dragon gave a long sigh, smoke rising faintly from its nostrils before vanishing. Because your world is untouched. Because your kind is still free. The machines have not reached you yet. But now they will. My fall lit a fire in the sky. They will follow it. They will come. The farmer's breath caught. His mind refused to believe, but his heart whispered that it was true. He thought of the scorched earth, the glowing wounds, the strange heat that still clung to the air. These were not things of his world. They belonged to something greater, something far beyond. He shivered, though the night air was still. The dragon turned its head slightly, its great eyes narrowing. You should run, human. Leave this place. Forget me. Save yourself while you can. The farmer opened his mouth, but no words came. His chest felt heavy with questions, with fear, with something else he could not name. At last, he forced out the one question burning inside him. Why ask me to kill you? Why not fight them yourself? The dragon's eyes closed for a moment, and its voice was like gravel breaking. Because I am finished. My strength is gone. My wings are broken. My fire is dying. I cannot fight them again. Better I die now than be taken. If they find me alive, they will use me. They will twist me. And they will use me against you. The farmer's skin went cold. He saw the truth in the dragon's broken body, in the wounds that glowed with unnatural light. This was not a lie. This was the plea of a creature that had once been mighty, now reduced to ruin. His hands shook, and he looked at the lantern flame, small and weak against the vast darkness. He had never felt so small, yet never felt the weight of choice so heavy. The dragon's voice came again, softer now, almost fading. Do it, farmer. Take your blade, end my breath. Spare your world the danger I bring. The farmer's chest rose and fell with uneven breaths. His mind raced. Could he really do such a thing? Could he kill a dragon, even a dying one? He thought of his small home, his fields, his quiet life. He thought of fire and metal spreading across the sky. He thought of the sorrow in the dragon's eyes. He stepped closer, though his knees shook. He lowered the lantern, letting its light fall fully across the dragon's face. What he saw there was not the rage of a beast, but the sorrow of a soldier. The dragon looked at him not as prey, not as an enemy, but as someone who might understand. And that was what made it harder. The farmer opened his mouth, his voice barely a whisper. I don't think I can. The dragon's eyes widened slightly, then softened. It let out a long, tired breath, smoke curling into the night. Then your kind is truly different, it whispered. Even when faced with fear, you choose mercy. The farmer did not know what to say. His heart pounded so hard he thought it might break his ribs. The dragon shifted weakly, its massive body groaning with pain. But mercy is dangerous, farmer. Mercy may cost your world its freedom. The words hung in the cold night air, sharp as knives. The farmer tightened his grip on the lantern, his face pale but his eyes steady. Then tell me, he said, his voice firmer than before. Tell me what I need to know. If danger is coming, I must understand. I must be ready. The dragon's eyes burned faintly brighter, as if hope flickered within. For the first time, its voice carried something other than despair. Then listen, human, it rumbled. Listen, and know the truth of the war that waits among the stars. The farmer stood in silence, his heart thundering inside his chest, as the dragon's words echoed in the empty field. The lantern flame trembled in the wind, and the shadows stretched long across the soil. His life had always been simple: plow the earth, sow the seeds, wait for the harvest, but now the weight of something far greater pressed down on him. Before him lay a dragon from the stars, broken and begging for release, warning of machines that could destroy the world. His mind raced like a storm. He could not understand it fully, yet he knew one thing clearly: his choices mattered. He looked down at the lantern, its small flame fighting against the night, and for a moment it seemed to mirror himself. He was small, weak, and ordinary, yet here he was, holding the fate of something vast in his trembling hands. His thoughts tore in two directions. One part of him whispered that he should end it quickly. Take his old axe, strike down the dragon, bury the memory, and return to the life he knew. If he killed the creature, maybe the machines would not come. Maybe his world would remain untouched. But another part of him screamed that it was wrong. This creature was not an enemy. It was wounded, desperate, and in pain. It spoke with sorrow, not hatred. Could he really destroy something that begged for mercy? He clenched his jaw, his hand tight on the lantern. His chest rose and fell in heavy breaths as he wrestled with his thoughts. The dragon's eyes followed him, faint light flickering in them, as though it could see the war inside him. You hesitate, the dragon whispered, its voice weak but sharp. You know what must be done, yet you cannot do it. The farmer shook his head, his voice cracking. I cannot kill you. I cannot. You are not a monster. You are broken, yes, but you are alive. You speak, you feel, you hope. How can I end that? The dragon gave a low rumble, almost like a laugh but filled with sadness. Hope, it said softly. I had hope once. But hope is dangerous. It blinds. It weakens. It leads to chains. The farmer stepped closer, lifting the lantern to see the dragon's wounds more clearly. The sight made his stomach twist. The cuts glowed faintly, and strange marks burned into the scales as if branded by fire and metal. He had never seen wounds like this. They were not natural. They were made with purpose. The dragon flinched as the light touched its chest, and a low growl escaped its throat. These wounds will never heal, it muttered. The machines made sure of that. The farmer swallowed hard. Then let me help, he said suddenly. His own words surprised him, but once spoken, he could not take them back. I do not know how, but I will try. You don't have to die here. Maybe I can bring you food, water, anything you need. Maybe you can recover. The dragon's head tilted slightly, its eyes narrowing. Help me? It asked, its voice thick with disbelief. Why? The farmer hesitated, searching for the answer inside himself. At last, he whispered, because I cannot watch something suffer and do nothing. Because it is wrong. The dragon was silent for a long time, its breath shallow, its eyes never leaving him. Finally, it spoke again. Your kind is strange. Weak in body, yet strong in spirit. I have seen warriors, kings, empires, but mercy is not their way. Perhaps that is why the machines have not come here yet. Perhaps mercy is your shield. The farmer did not know what to say. His hands shook, but he set the lantern down on the ground, its light steady between them. He knelt, though fear still clawed at his chest, and he looked into the dragon's glowing eyes. Tell me, he said firmly. Tell me what I must do. If danger is coming, I cannot pretend it is not. If I must help you, then I will. The dragon's eyes widened slightly, a spark of something unreadable flashing within. You do not understand what you offer, it said slowly. To help me is to invite death. The machines will follow my scent. They will search the skies. When they find me, they will find you too. They will not spare you. They will not spare anyone. The farmer's heart raced, but his voice held steady. Then I will face them when they come. I cannot abandon you. The dragon studied him for a long moment, its breathing harsh, its body trembling with weakness. Finally, it lowered its head to the ground with a heavy thud. You are a fool, farmer, it said softly. But perhaps a necessary fool. The farmer felt a chill run through him. His decision was made, but fear still gnawed at him like a hungry wolf. He thought of his small home, his wife's memory that lingered in the walls, the fields that had fed him since boyhood. Would all of it be lost because of this choice? Would the machines tear it apart, just as they had torn the dragon? He closed his eyes for a moment, drawing a deep breath. His hands shook as he rose to his feet and picked up the lantern again. He looked at the dragon, massive and broken, lying helpless in his field, and he felt a strange weight settle on his shoulders. He was no longer only a farmer. He was something more, though he could not name it yet. The dragon's voice broke the silence once more. If you truly wish to help, then listen. There is a device. I kept it hidden. Take it. Guard it. With it, you will see what I have seen. With it, you will understand. The farmer's eyes widened, his pulse quickening. A device? Something from the stars? His fear and curiosity clashed inside him, but he nodded slowly. Where is it? The dragon shifted weakly, lifting a claw. Its talons scraped the soil, and from beneath its broken wing it pulled a small object, glowing faintly with blue light. It was no bigger than the farmer's hand, but its surface shimmered with colors he had never seen before. He stared at it, unable to breathe. This was not of his world. This was proof. Proof of everything. The dragon's eyes dimmed, its strength fading as it pushed the device toward him. Take it, it whispered. Guard it. Learn from it. When the machines come, it may be your only weapon. The farmer reached out with trembling hands, his fingers brushing the strange surface. It was warm, alive almost, pulsing faintly like a heartbeat. He lifted it slowly, his chest heavy with fear and wonder. He looked at the dragon, who now lay still, its breath shallow, its eyes half closed. Why me? The farmer whispered. The dragon's voice came weak, almost gone. Because you did not kill me when I asked. Because mercy chose you. The lantern flame flickered, the night pressed in around them, and the farmer felt the world shift beneath his feet. He looked at the strange device in his hand, then back at the dying dragon, and he knew his life was no longer his own. The farmer sat in the dirt with the strange glowing device resting carefully in his hands. Its light pulsed faintly, almost like a heartbeat, filling the night air with an otherworldly glow. He could not stop staring at it. The colors shifted slowly across its surface, strange shapes appearing and fading, like stars moving across a sky he could not recognize. He felt both fear and wonder in equal measure. His whole life had been spent in this small piece of land, working the soil, living quietly, never thinking of worlds beyond the horizon. And now he held proof in his hands that those worlds not only existed but were connected to the dying creature before him. The dragon's voice rumbled softly, weak and broken, but still carrying a weight that filled the silence. Do you wish to know who I am, farmer? Do you wish to hear the truth of what I was before I fell to this place? The farmer's throat was dry, but he managed to nod. Tell me, he whispered. The dragon's eyes closed for a moment as though summoning the strength to remember. Its breath rattled in its chest, smoke rising faintly from its nostrils before fading into the cold air. Long before your world grew into the small villages and fields you know now, before men walked upright, my kind lived among the stars. We were not born of this soil or sky. We were born from fire and darkness, our wings made for the endless night. We were guardians, watchers, defenders of life. The farmer listened, his heart thundering. The words sounded like a tale from an old story, but the sorrow in the dragon's voice made it real. For ages, the dragon continued, we kept the balance. We flew between worlds, carrying knowledge, guarding life from what would destroy it. We thought ourselves eternal. But then came the machines. Its voice grew sharp, filled with hate that still burned even in weakness. They did not create. They did not feel. They only consumed. They spread like fire through dry grass, devouring one world, then another. At first, we fought them and we won. Our fire tore their metal. Our claws shattered their frames. But they learned. They always learned. With every battle they returned stronger. And with every return, we grew weaker. The farmer's chest tightened as he listened. He could see the pain in the dragon's eyes as it spoke, as if every memory cut deeper than the wounds on its body. I fought for centuries, the creature said. I led battles that lit the skies with fire. I watched worlds fall, one by one. My brothers and sisters fell beside me, their wings broken, their fire stolen. I fought because there was no choice. We were the last wall between life and the silence of machines. But walls can break. Its head lowered, resting heavy on the earth. They captured me. They tore into my body. They filled my veins with their poison, etched their marks into my scales. They wanted to twist me into their weapon, to use me against my own kind, to turn fire into chains. I escaped, but I left much of myself in their hands. What you see now is only ruin. The farmer's grip on the device tightened, his eyes wide. And you came here, he whispered. To my world. The dragon nodded slowly, its massive body trembling with the effort. I did not choose this place. My body was broken, my wings could no longer carry me. I fled, blind and desperate, through the stars. I fell into your sky, burning, until the soil caught me. And now, here I remain. The farmer swallowed hard, his mind spinning. He tried to imagine fire across the heavens, dragons battling machines on worlds beyond his own, but the thought was too large for him. Still, he believed, because the evidence lay before his eyes. The dragon's wounds were real. The device in his hands was real. The fear in his chest was real. The dragon's voice dropped lower, filled with sorrow. Do you see now why I ask for death? I am no longer a guardian. I am no longer a warrior. I am nothing but a broken tool. If the machines find me, they will finish their work. They will twist me into their weapon. And then they will use me to burn your world. The farmer's heart pounded. He stared at the device in his hands, the glow painting his face in strange light. He thought of his small home, his quiet life, the fields he had worked with his own hands. He thought of fire from the sky and machines that killed without mercy. He thought of the dragon before him, once a mighty guardian, now a broken body begging for release. His voice shook as he finally spoke. If you fought for life, if you protected worlds, then you are not nothing. You may be broken, but you are not nothing. You are still here. And if danger is coming, perhaps you can help me. Perhaps you can help us. The dragon's eyes opened slowly, glowing faintly as it studied him. You would ask a dying beast to fight again? The farmer shook his head. Not fight. Teach. You know what they are. You know how they move, how they destroy. Teach me. Teach us. If my world is to be taken, then at least let us stand. For a long moment, the dragon was silent. Then a sound rumbled in its throat, not quite laughter, not quite weeping, but something caught between. Strange human, it whispered. Strange, foolish, merciful human. Perhaps your kind is not as weak as I thought. The farmer held the device tighter, feeling its pulse against his skin. He did not understand it, but he knew it mattered. This, he asked, lifting it slightly. What is it? The dragon's gaze lingered on the small glowing object. Memory, it said. Knowledge. A shard of the stars. It holds maps of worlds, records of battles, secrets of my kind and theirs. With it, you will see. With it, you may learn what must be done. Guard it with your life, farmer, for it is worth more than any treasure you have ever known. The farmer nodded, though fear still twisted in his chest. He looked at the device again, the shifting colors reflecting in his eyes. He did not know how to use it, did not know if he ever could, but he felt its weight all the same. It was not just metal. It was the truth. The dragon's voice grew softer, weaker, as though the telling of its past had drained what little strength remained. I am tired, it murmured. So very tired. My fire fades. Soon I will sleep, and I may not wake again. But remember this, farmer, mercy is both your strength and your curse. If you choose to stand, you must be ready to lose everything. The machines will not stop. They never stop. The farmer's breath shook, but he lifted his chin. Then I will not stop either, he said quietly. The dragon's eyes flickered faintly, like embers refusing to die. Perhaps there is hope yet. And with that, the dragon closed its eyes, its breath slowing, leaving the farmer alone with the device glowing faintly in his hands and the heavy truth of a war that stretched far beyond his small world. The farmer sat in silence long after the dragon closed its eyes. The strange glowing device pulsed gently in his hands like a heartbeat from another world. He could feel its warmth seep into his skin, and though he did not understand it, he sensed that it carried truth and danger both. The night was quiet around him, only the sound of wind brushing through dry grass and the labored breath of the dragon lying broken before him. His heart was heavy, his mind racing with images he could hardly believe. Fire across the stars, battles against machines, worlds falling one after another. He was only a farmer, a man who had lived a simple life of soil and seed. Yet now he felt the weight of something far larger pressing upon him. As he stared at the device, he felt a shift in the air. The dragon's eyes opened slowly, glowing faintly, weak but aware. Its voice came low and rough. Farmer, it whispered, you must listen to me now. There is little time, and though my strength fades, my words may yet prepare you. The farmer leaned closer, gripping the device tighter. I am listening, he said softly. The dragon drew in a long, rattling breath, smoke curling faintly from its nostrils. The machines will come. Do not doubt this. They know I escaped. They know I fled. They hunt without end, and they will not stop until I am destroyed or reclaimed. And if they find me here, if they see this world, they will not leave it untouched. They will strip it, burn it, harvest it, until nothing remains. You must understand this truth. Your world is no longer hidden. My fall has marked it. The farmer's stomach clenched. He thought of his home, of his small fields, of the quiet village not far away where men, women, and children lived without knowing anything of stars or machines. They will come here, he asked, his voice barely a whisper. The dragon's eyes burned faintly, sorrow and certainty mingling in their glow. Yes. Perhaps not tonight, perhaps not tomorrow, but soon. They track with patience, with precision. They will follow the scars of my fall. They will find the energy that bleeds from my wounds. They will come. The farmer's hands shook as he looked down at the device. Then what can I do? I am only a farmer. I have no weapons, no armies. The dragon let out a sound, part growl, part sigh. You have more than you think. You have choice. You have spirit. You have the will to stand. These machines do not understand such things. They understand logic, power, efficiency, but they do not understand the stubbornness of life. That is why my kind fought for so long. That is why I see something in you, strange human. You refused to kill me when I begged for death. That was your choice. That choice may change more than you know. The farmer swallowed hard. The dragon's words were heavy, but they lit a small fire inside him. If they come, he said slowly, I will not run. But how can we fight them? They sound like nothing we have ever seen. The dragon shifted slightly, groaning with the effort, its massive claws digging into the soil. You must learn. That device you hold, it contains knowledge, maps, truths your kind cannot imagine. In time, you may understand it. It will guide you. It will show you what I cannot teach before my breath is gone. But know this, knowledge alone will not save you. You must be ready to sacrifice, to fight, to endure loss. The machines will not show mercy. If they come, your fields will burn, your homes will crumble, your people will suffer. And yet, if you stand, if you resist, you may give your world a chance. The farmer felt his throat tighten. He thought of the people he knew, their laughter, their struggles, their small lives built on hope and labor. He thought of them screaming under the weight of fire and metal. He could not allow it. Then I will stand, he said, his voice firmer now, though his hands still trembled. I will learn. I will protect them. The dragon's gaze softened, and for a moment, the sorrow in its eyes eased. Strange human, it murmured. There is strength in you I did not expect. Perhaps your kind may yet surprise even the endless silence. Its breath grew heavier, the words slower. But remember this warning, trust carefully. When the machines come, they will not only bring fire. They will bring deception. They will twist truth, turn fear against you, make you doubt your own heart. They will use every weakness to break you from within. Hold fast to your will, for that is the one thing they cannot take. The farmer nodded slowly, though fear gnawed at him. He had never been tested in such ways. He was no warrior, no leader, but something told him that his choice tonight would shape not only his own life but the lives of many. He looked at the dragon again, at the scars glowing faintly across its body. He realized this creature was not only a victim but also a warning of what was to come. The dragon's eyes closed once more, its voice fading like the last ember of a dying fire. Prepare, farmer. Prepare, for the storm is coming. When the skies burn and the ground shakes, remember my words. Remember who you are. The farmer sat there in the cold night, the strange device glowing in his hands, his mind filled with fear and determination. He did not know how he could prepare, did not know what steps to take, but he knew he could not return to his old life. The simple days of plowing soil and sowing seeds were gone. A shadow had fallen over his world, and he was now part of something far greater than himself. Above, the stars glimmered faintly, quiet and distant, but he no longer looked at them as he once had. Now he saw them as paths, as worlds, as battlefields. He wondered how many had already fallen, how many still remained. He wondered if Earth would stand or fall. He wondered if he would live to see the end. And though fear pressed heavy on his chest, a small voice inside him whispered, "You will not run. You will not bend. You will stand." The farmer closed his eyes, clutching the device to his chest, and listened to the slow breath of the dragon beside him, knowing that the warning had been given and the choice was now his to bear. The night stretched long and heavy, and the farmer could not sleep though his body begged for rest. He sat by the dragon, the glowing device clutched close to his chest, and his thoughts whirled like a storm that had no end. Every breath he drew seemed filled with fire and fear, yet also something deeper, responsibility. He was no longer only a man of soil, no longer a nameless hand who tilled the earth and harvested grain. He had been chosen, not by desire but by chance, or perhaps by fate. The dragon's words echoed in his mind again and again. The machines will come, they will burn, they will not stop. He felt small against the weight of it, smaller than ever before, yet he also felt a strange strength stirring in his chest. He thought of the villagers who trusted him, who often borrowed his plow or asked for his hand in the fields. He thought of the children who ran barefoot through the dust, laughing at the smallest joys. He thought of the elderly who sat near their fires each evening, telling stories of simpler times. Could he allow such lives to be broken, torn apart by fire and steel? His heart screamed no. He rose to his feet slowly. The lantern now burned low beside him, its flame weak but alive, just like the dragon. He looked out over his fields, the soil glistening faintly under the moonlight, and he saw more than crops. He saw life, fragile yet stubborn, reaching always upward no matter how harsh the season. It was this stubbornness that he knew he must hold on to. He walked a few steps away from the dragon, the cool night air biting at his skin, and he whispered to himself, "I will not run. I will not abandon this land." The words gave him strength even as fear gnawed at the edges of his soul. Behind him, the dragon stirred faintly, opening its weary eyes to watch the farmer standing there like a shadow against the stars. Its voice was soft, almost too weak to carry. "You have made your choice, haven't you?" The farmer turned back, meeting its glowing gaze. He nodded slowly. "Yes. I will fight for my people. I don't know how, I don't know when, but I cannot stay silent and wait for death. If the machines come, they will not find us unprepared." A faint rumble came from the dragon's throat, not quite a laugh, not quite a growl. "Strange human," it whispered. "You do not know the weight of your vow, yet you speak it as though it were carved in stone. Perhaps that will be your strength. Perhaps that will be your ruin." The farmer tightened his grip on the device. "Then teach me. Show me what I must do. If this device holds knowledge, I will learn. If there are ways to prepare, I will find them. You may see me as weak, but weakness can be sharpened into something stronger." The dragon lowered its head, its massive body trembling with each shallow breath. "I cannot teach much more. My time fades. But the device will guide you if you have the will to open it. It will not give its knowledge freely. It will test you, for knowledge without wisdom is poison. Be ready, farmer. Be ready to learn what your kind has forgotten, what it has never known." The farmer knelt once more, placing the lantern between them. The small flame flickered, dancing against the dark, and he stared at the strange glowing object in his palm. It pulsed as though alive, shifting faintly in color, humming softly like distant wind. He pressed it to his chest, feeling its rhythm beat against his own heart, and whispered, "Then I will learn. I swear it." For a long moment, silence held them both, the farmer and the dying dragon, two lives bound together by chance yet tied to a fate larger than either could measure. Then the dragon's eyes dimmed further, its breath slowing. "Your decision is made," it said. "Then so is mine. I will give you what remains of my strength. When the machines come, they will smell my blood. They will come faster than I hoped. But perhaps, with you standing, your people may have a chance. Remember this, even the smallest flame can burn a forest. Be that flame, farmer." The farmer's chest tightened as he listened, for he could hear the truth in the dragon's fading voice. He was not ready, not truly, but readiness did not matter. What mattered was the choice to stand, the choice to face the storm rather than hide from it. He rose again, gazing out into the vast night, and he imagined what was to come. Skies split by fire, fields trampled by metal, voices crying out in fear. His heart ached, but his jaw set firm. "Then I will be the flame," he whispered. He did not know who would believe him if he spoke of what he had seen, of what he now held in his hand. The villagers might call him mad, a man broken by loneliness or toil. Yet he knew he would have to try, to warn them, to prepare them. Some would not listen, some would laugh, but perhaps some would believe. And even a few believers could make the difference between survival and ruin. Behind him, the dragon gave a final sigh, its eyes dimming to faint embers. The farmer turned, kneeling quickly. "Rest," he said softly. "I will carry your warning." The dragon's lips curled faintly, almost like a smile. "Then go, farmer. Go and become more than you were." With that, the great creature stilled once more, its breath so shallow it was nearly gone, and the field grew quiet except for the whisper of wind. The farmer stood tall, the device glowing steady in his hand, and in that moment, he felt both fear and determination rise inside him like twin flames. He had made his decision. He would fight for his world. He would not allow machines of fire and steel to take what was not theirs. He was only a farmer, but sometimes a farmer knew better than anyone that even the smallest seed could grow into something mighty if planted with care and courage. He turned toward his home, toward the village beyond, and began to walk, his steps slow but firm, knowing that every path ahead was dangerous, but also knowing there was no turning back. The farmer returned to the village just as the first light of dawn touched the fields, the glowing device hidden carefully beneath his coat, its faint pulse matching the rhythm of his own heartbeat. His steps were heavy with fatigue and worry, yet his mind was sharper than ever, filled with the warning and the knowledge the dragon had entrusted to him. He could feel the weight of responsibility pressing on his shoulders, a weight far heavier than any plow or sack of grain he had ever carried. As he entered the village square, he saw familiar faces peering from doorways and windows, their expressions curious, suspicious, and sleepy all at once. Children ran past him, shouting and laughing, unaware of the storm that hovered at the edge of the world. The farmer stopped for a moment and took a deep breath. He knew that what he carried, what he had learned, would be difficult to explain. Even he struggled to believe the truth of it all, a dragon from the stars, machines that destroyed entire worlds, a device containing knowledge far beyond human understanding. And yet, he could not keep silent. He walked toward the elder of the village, a man who had guided their people through droughts and hard winters, a man whose word carried weight and respect. The elder looked up from his small garden, wiping soil from his hands, and furrowed his brow. "Farmer," he said, "what brings you so early? You look troubled." The farmer hesitated, choosing his words carefully. "Something is coming," he said finally, his voice firm despite the tremor in his hands. "Something dangerous, beyond anything we have ever faced. You must listen, and you must prepare." The elder's eyes narrowed, a frown forming as he took in the farmer's tense stance. "You speak of danger again," he said slowly. "Last year it was wolves, before that a storm. What is it this time?" The farmer shook his head. "Not wolves, not storms. Machines. Creatures of fire and metal. They hunt without mercy, without end. They destroy worlds. And they are coming here. I have seen them. I have heard their threat." A murmur ran through the small crowd that had begun to gather. Villagers peeked out from behind doors, children hiding their faces, and a few brave souls stepped forward. One of the men laughed nervously. "Machines? You speak like a child telling tales of stars. What proof do you have? What reason do we have to believe such nonsense?" The farmer reached into his coat and pulled out the device, holding it in both hands so the faint glow could be seen. The colors shifted and shimmered, strange shapes moving across its surface. "This is proof," he said. "It is a shard of knowledge from beyond our world. The dragon spoke to me. It warned me, entrusted me with this, and it may be the only way to save us." The villagers leaned in, some with awe, some with skepticism, others with outright disbelief. One woman stepped forward, clutching her shawl tightly around her. "A dragon? Here? In our fields?" she whispered. "Surely you are mad." The farmer's chest tightened. "I am not mad. I saw it with my own eyes. It begged for death, it warned me of what is coming. If we do not prepare, our homes, our families, and our lives will be destroyed." A man with rough hands crossed his arms and frowned. "And you expect us to believe in dragons and machines? We are farmers. We are simple folk. We deal with crops, animals, weather, not stars and fire creatures." The farmer felt frustration rising, but he forced himself to remain calm. "You may call me foolish, but I am telling the truth. I have faced what no man here has seen. And I swear, if we do not act, we will regret it." The elder stepped forward, his gaze shifting between the farmer and the device, uncertain but curious. "This glowing object," he said slowly. "What is it? Can it truly help us? Or is this some trick?" The farmer held it out again, the light bathing their faces in soft colors. "It contains knowledge, maps, and truths that the dragon wanted me to share. It can guide us, teach us, show us how to prepare. But it cannot act alone. We must listen, learn, and act together. The danger is real." A hush fell over the crowd as they stared at the small glowing device. Some of them shook their heads in disbelief, others whispered nervously among themselves, questioning what they had just heard. The farmer knew it would take time for them to understand, but he also knew that hesitation could cost them everything. He stepped closer to the elder. "I know it is hard to believe. I know it sounds impossible. But I saw it. I held the dragon's gaze. And if we do not act, it will be too late." The elder's eyes narrowed, his face creased with thought. "We cannot fight what we cannot see," he said finally. "We are simple people. What can we do against machines from the stars? How can we even begin to prepare?" The farmer met his gaze steadily. "We begin by believing, by learning, by standing together. The dragon trusted me with this device for a reason. It chose me to carry the warning. And I will not fail." A few villagers began to murmur among themselves, some curious, some skeptical, some fearful. The farmer felt a mix of hope and frustration. He realized that fear had a strong hold on them, just as it had on him moments before, and he needed to guide them carefully. He raised his voice slightly. "Listen to me. If we wait, if we doubt, if we pretend nothing is coming, we will lose everything. But if we stand, if we learn, if we prepare, we may survive. We may even have a chance to fight back." The crowd was quiet again, some nodding slightly, others still shaking their heads in disbelief. The farmer took a deep breath. "I know it is strange. I know it sounds impossible. But I ask you to trust me. Trust what I have seen. Trust what the dragon warned. Together, we can face what is coming. Alone, we cannot." The elder looked at him for a long time, his eyes searching the farmer's for certainty, for truth. Then he nodded slowly. "Very well," he said. "We will listen. We will learn. But we must be careful. If this is true, then we must not act rashly, and we must protect our families first." The farmer felt a small spark of relief. It was a start. They may doubt him, they may fear, but they were willing to hear. That was all he needed for now. He looked at the glowing device once more, its faint light pulsing like a heartbeat, and felt the weight of responsibility settle heavier on him than ever before. The villagers gathered around, whispering and murmuring, some wide-eyed, some skeptical, and the farmer knew that the path ahead would not be easy. Doubt would linger, fear would linger, but he also knew that the first step toward survival had been taken. He had chosen to act, and now he had to guide them through the unknown. The device's glow seemed to shine brighter as if responding to his determination. He took a deep breath, preparing himself for what lay ahead. The machines were coming, the dragon had warned him, and the villagers would need all the courage he could give them. And though uncertainty filled the air, one truth remained clear: he would not back down, and he would not let his world fall without a fight. The night came quickly, darker than any the farmer had seen, as if the sky itself feared what was to come. The village lay quiet, most of its people asleep, unaware of the danger creeping closer across the hills and through the forests. The farmer stood at the edge of his field, the glowing device pressed tightly to his chest, its pulse steady and warm, reminding him that knowledge was alive and waiting. He had spent the day warning the villagers, explaining what he could, showing them the device, and trying to inspire courage where doubt had lingered. Some believed, others only half believed, but all were uneasy, the tension in the air heavy like a storm ready to break. The wind shifted, carrying a strange metallic scent, sharp and bitter, and the hairs on the farmer's arms rose. He knew this scent. It was the machines approaching. They were silent at first, almost ghostly, moving over the hills and through the trees with a terrible patience. The farmer's chest tightened as he watched the shadows ripple unnaturally in the moonlight. He ran to the village square, calling for those who were awake, trying to warn them without causing panic. "They are coming," he shouted, his voice cutting through the night. "Machines. From the stars. Prepare yourselves." Some villagers stumbled out, clutching tools and weapons that were useless against what was approaching. Others froze, fear rooting them to the ground. The farmer gripped the device tighter and took a deep breath. "Listen. We may not have swords or armor, but we have knowledge now. We have each other. Stand together." The first sounds came then, faint at first, a high metallic hum that grew louder with every heartbeat. The air itself seemed to vibrate, and the ground beneath their feet shook slightly, as if warning them of the coming storm. Shadows appeared first, creeping across the fields like liquid darkness, then shapes emerged. Machines larger than any tree, taller than any barn, their metal glinting in the moonlight, strange lights glowing from within them, scanning, searching. The villagers screamed, some running back toward their homes, others frozen in shock. The farmer raised his voice again, steady now, trying to keep control. "Hold your ground. Don't run. They will come for the dragon, not yet for you. Stay calm." The machines moved with unnatural precision, scanning the village, their sensors flicking in every direction. One machine paused near the edge of the field, its light swinging like a searching eye, and the farmer felt the weight of its gaze. His hands shook as he held the device, unsure if it would help him, unsure if it would give him the power to fight. He could feel the pulse of the device quicken, almost as if it sensed the approaching threat. "I know you are here," he whispered, more to himself than to anyone else. "I am ready." The machines began to move closer, their long legs making the ground tremble. Sparks flew from their joints as they walked, the sound metallic and terrifying. The villagers clutched each other, terror spreading like wildfire, but the farmer held the device high, its light glowing brighter now, casting long, strange shadows across the soil. Suddenly, one of the machines stopped, a loud hiss of air escaping, and then it fired a beam of light into the sky, scanning and calculating. The farmer ducked instinctively, pulling a villager behind a cart for cover. "Stay low," he shouted. "Stay calm. Don't let them see fear." Another machine moved faster, its sensors glowing red now, and it released a pulse of energy across the field. Crops caught fire instantly, smoke rising in thick black clouds. The smell of burning filled the air, and the villagers cried out, stumbling, panicking, trying to put out the flames. The farmer gritted his teeth, feeling anger and fear in equal measure. He had seen the dragon broken, he had felt the weight of the warning, and now he faced the beginning of the destruction the dragon had spoken of. He raised the device, unsure if it would help, and pressed a small surface with his thumb. The light shifted, blue streaks running across it, and a faint hum filled the air. He could feel a vibration through his hands, a subtle force, as though the device was alive and responding to the threat. Sparks flew from the machines as they adjusted, and for a brief moment, one of the smaller robots stumbled, its sensors confused by the pulse from the device. The farmer saw hope in that small failure and shouted to the villagers. "Use what you can. Knock them over, fight together. Don't let them take your home." The villagers, though terrified, began to act. They grabbed tools, sticks, anything they could find, and hurled them at the smaller machines. Some managed to topple a few, their metal bodies clanging to the ground, sparks flying. It was not much, but it was something. The farmer felt the device pulse stronger, as if feeding on their courage. He realized then that this was what the dragon had meant. Knowledge was not just information, it was power when combined with will and bravery. The machines adapted quickly, though, moving faster, stronger, more coordinated. One large machine aimed its beam at the village, but the device glowed, and the light reflected strangely, causing the machine's sensors to flicker. Sparks flew, and the machine staggered for a moment before regaining balance. The farmer saw that he could influence them, even if only slightly, and his heart pounded with the realization that they had a fighting chance, however small. The air was thick with smoke, fear, and the smell of burning crops. The machines continued their advance, relentless, their glowing eyes searching, calculating, ready to destroy anything in their path. Yet the farmer stood firm, the device pulsing in his hands, guiding him in ways he did not yet understand. He shouted instructions to the villagers, coordinated their actions as best he could, and together they managed to slow the machine's advance, toppling some, confusing others. The first attack had begun, but for the first time, the farmer felt that resistance was possible. The machines were powerful, but they were not invincible. And as long as he held the glowing device, as long as he guided the villagers with courage and determination, there was a chance that their home, their world, might survive the night. The farmer's heart raced, his mind sharp, and though fear still gnawed at him, he knew that he had made the right decision. He had chosen to stand, to fight, to protect, and this first attack, terrible as it was only the beginning of a war that would test their courage, their unity, and the very soul of their world. The farmer stood at the edge of the burning field, the glowing device in his hands vibrating softly as if sensing the danger around him. Smoke curled in thick waves, the scent of charred crops and scorched earth filling the air. The villagers were shaken but gathered close, ready to follow any direction he gave. The machines had retreated slightly after their first attack, recalculating, analyzing, and preparing for another strike. The farmer took a deep breath, the weight of responsibility pressing heavier than ever, but his heart was steady with resolve. He knew they had only one chance to strike back effectively, to show the machines that they were not powerless. "Listen to me," he shouted, his voice cutting through the smoke. "We fight together, we act together, and we use what we have. The dragon gave us knowledge, and this device will help us. Trust it, trust each other." The villagers nodded, some fear still lingering, but courage growing in equal measure. The farmer lifted the device higher, its light pulsing stronger now, sending waves across the field. He pressed it against the ground and focused, feeling the subtle energy flowing through it, guiding his thoughts, guiding their actions. The smaller machines moved first, advancing cautiously as the larger ones observed from behind. Sparks flew as some stumbled over debris, confused by the pulse from the device. The farmer moved quickly, directing the villagers to use what they could: logs, carts, stones, anything that could create obstacles or knock machines off balance. "Push together," he yelled. "Aim for the joints. Use the weight of the logs. Don't let them regroup." The villagers worked in unison now, coordinated by the farmer's commands and guided subtly by the glowing device. A small machine stumbled over a cart, toppling onto its side with a loud crash. The farmer's pulse quickened. "Good. Keep going. Hit them fast and don't stop." The larger machines began to fire pulses of energy, scorching the ground and igniting more fields, but the farmer had learned to anticipate them. He adjusted the device, focusing on the angle of its glow, and the pulses were reflected slightly, causing one of the machines to stagger and miscalculate. Sparks flew, metal screeching, and the villagers saw their first victory. "Yes," he shouted. "Do not fear. You can stop them." Encouraged, the villagers became braver. They formed lines, pushing debris to block paths, hurling stones, swinging plows like weapons. The device's pulse seemed to respond to their courage, flickering in rhythm with their movements, guiding small shifts in the machine's balance. A larger machine aimed directly at the village square, its sensors locking onto the largest group of people, but the farmer raised the device, pressing firmly, and the light refracted, confusing its targeting system. It fired, but the beam struck a tree at the edge of the square instead, splintering wood everywhere, and the villagers scattered safely. The farmer moved quickly, signaling them to regroup and take advantage of the moment. "Now, push forward. Do not give them time to recover." They advanced, using carts, logs, and even large stones to topple smaller machines. One fell, sparks flying from its joints, its sensors shattered. Another lost balance and slid across the dirt, slowed by the force of their attack. The farmer's heart raced as he realized the power they had when working together, when courage met strategy, guided by the device. But the larger machines were relentless. They adjusted, recalculating, firing beams and pulses that set more fields ablaze. The farmer gritted his teeth and pressed the device harder, focusing all his energy on the field, imagining obstacles, imagining paths, imagining weaknesses. A pulse of light shot from the device, and one of the large machines faltered, its metal frame jerking as if in pain. Sparks erupted, and the villagers surged forward, toppling debris against it, finally bringing it to the ground with a deafening crash. The farmer's lungs burned, sweat streaming down his face, but he did not stop. He shouted instructions, guided the villagers, and watched as they gained confidence, as fear turned into determination. "Do not let them rise," he yelled. "Keep pressure on them. Protect each other." The remaining machines hesitated, sensing resistance stronger than before. The device pulsed brighter, almost like a heartbeat of its own, pushing the energy across the field. Sparks flew from the machines, joints misfiring, sensors flickering. Villagers hit their weak points again, and slowly, the tide began to turn. Fire, smoke, and metal clashed in a terrible symphony, but the farmer's calm voice guided them like a beacon through the chaos. He realized that the key was coordination, courage, and the subtle energy of the device. It could not destroy the machines alone, but it amplified their efforts, giving them the edge they needed. After hours that felt like lifetimes, the last machine staggered, sparks flying from every joint, and toppled heavily onto the scorched earth. The field fell silent, smoke rising into the night sky, the smell of burned metal and earth thick in the air. The villagers stared in disbelief, some cheering softly, others too shaken to speak. The farmer dropped to his knees, the device still glowing faintly, its pulse slowing. He looked at the horizon, aware that this was only the beginning. The machines would return, stronger and more numerous, but now he knew that resistance was possible. He had seen what courage, unity, and knowledge could accomplish. He turned to the villagers, their faces illuminated by the fading glow, and spoke softly. "Tonight we survived. We fought together. We can fight again. And next time, we will be stronger. We have learned what it takes. We will not give up. We will not run." The villagers nodded slowly, some still shaking, but all understanding that the farmer was right. They had seen the power of standing together, the strength that came when fear was met with courage, and guidance was combined with knowledge. The farmer stood, holding the device high, its faint glow now a symbol of hope, and for the first time since the dragon had fallen, he felt a spark of determination that burned brighter than fear. The night was far from over, and the war was far from won, but the first counterstrike had been made, and the farmer knew that as long as they stood together, and as long as the device guided them, they had a chance to survive what was coming.